Dan, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate being on.
Just wanted to talk about your perspective on this. I found it rare when I read this because you actually look past the partisanship of fandom to say, let's look at the decision at its core. And hey, even though how we got here was clumsy and maybe a little bizarre, this may be the best thing for these two young men in the end. How did you arrive there?
Well, I'm not a fan, so that's probably part one. I don't care what happens to Alabama, good or bad, any more than I would care for any other program. I cover whoever's there. So whether Cam Robinson plays or whether someone's heckling you or whether you think, the Alabama program would never produce any troublemakers or you think that the whole place is just none of that stuff matters. And the reality, that's quite honestly is the reality. They're all the programs are pretty much the same. But so I don't have that, which it probably helps. I also cover a lot of legal cases, maybe. I do a lot of court reporting in sports, so I think maybe I take more of a different approach to how the judicial system works and decisions that are made. And when a district attorney makes a move not to prosecute, that's not unusual, and that's often a very, very difficult decision for district attorneys. And I think sometimes in sports, we apply this idea like it's the ref, like it's bias or he blew it. And, these guys are elected and they have tough jobs, and every single day they have to try to decide, can I win this case? Or is this case justice? The prosecutor's job is to seek justice. Most people think that's the judge's job. That isn't the judge's job. The judge's job is to make sure there's a fair trial and court will operate. The district attorney is supposed to. Now, we know district attorneys don't always do that. But, if this guy looks at it and says Jerry Jones there and Monroe looks at it and says, we don't have enough evidence, I can't win this case, then he's doing a disservice to his own taxpayers to prosecute it. Then he's doing the wrong thing by trying to win a case he can't win. And if the district attorney looks at a case and says, I don't want to prosecute this case because I don't think that it merits going after these alleged, the perpetrators, that's okay too. That's in his right. He can sit there and say, I'm not going to do it. Now, the state could pull in or something like that, but he has the right to say, I'm not going to do it. This is a nonviolent crime, right? Like nothing bad really happened. Is it a good thing that you're sitting in a closed down park at 2:30 in the morning with marijuana and guns in a car? No. Okay. I mean, sorry, that's not really a positive thing. But does it merit prosecuting to the full extent of the law? That's his decision, and so I'm going to respect those decisions until I'm proven that this guy is somehow corrupt or something else in the long run. So I give some deference to district attorneys, to judges, to juries, and different things. So long way of explaining it. I think that's how I got there. I have no dog in the hunt, and I think this is a much tougher decision. Now, I didn't like how he explained it, but I get the decision, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if you're saying, I'm not worried about these two guys. I'm not going to prosecute a nonviolent offense like this. I'm gonna take the risk. This was just two dudes really acting stupid and risking way more than they should, but they're not a threat to society.
Talking to Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports in his column today, somehow DA's bizarre and clumsy handling of Alabama players could be justice. A really interesting column I'd recommend that you read. And I don't want to ask you to speak to other media members, particularly national media members, but I guess I will. Why do you think we don't see more of this common sense approach? Is it because we've now become into a society that we feel that student athletes have that people bend over for them, that they get away with things? Are we too quick maybe sometimes to bring the hammer down on these issues because we feel like if we don't hold them accountable, no one will?
I don't know. I don't. I'll be honest with you. I had not read any. I think I read Kevin Skarbinski's column, which I thought was pretty. I took it as a very even-handed column and pretty pretty good, particularly in he had to write it very quickly. So that's maybe the only thing I read on this. I really don't pay attention to what anyone else is doing. So if there was this massive backlash against these guys, I'm not aware of it, but I'm certainly possible. I don't know. I don't know why people. I think there's a shoot first. Perspective isn't always. You don't get rewarded for perspective very often. It often angers people on both sides. Believe me, that column got plenty of, I think there were some Alabama fans that liked the column, and there were some that hated the column because I didn't go with these guys never should have been arrested, and this was a total BS, and Nick Saban's the greatest thing ever, and these guys have never done anything wrong either. So there's sort of there's so much media that's kind of built up to either totally defend one side or destroy the other side, and there's a big business in that kind of media, so maybe that's part of it. But I'm not really sure what got said. I just think all I can do is look at it in different ways, and I just think, people make mistakes, and it doesn't necessarily. I think as a country, we're not in really a good position, having covered a lot of the legal system, to just, rules are rules, and we must throw everybody, away, and you just prosecute everything. I think you have to have smart people make smart decisions. Is Jerry Jones in Monroe a smart guy? Did he make a smart decision? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I'm going to trust that the people there and this guy, it's his neck's on the line here. It's a lot easier for me to just, I have nothing to do with it. I'm just going to write a column and move on. I don't, what happens doesn't matter. So, I think some of it is just trusting that the people in the legal system often have the right idea on what they're trying to do, and sometimes that's leniency. I don't even know what the punishments were on these things, but sometimes gun charges have, mandatory sentences that can really wipe a guy out. And, I would like to see the perspective of what can we do with this person. There can be rehabilitation, there can be punishment that doesn't necessarily mean incarceration or taking them off a road that can actually help them out. That doesn't mean you defer all the time to athletes or these coaches. It shouldn't fall on Nick Saban to have to do this, but I'm not even sure I'm still answering your question. But I just think perspective is always the right way to go. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but I don't know what they're doing.
Talking to Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports in his column today about the DA's handling of Cam Robinson, Hootie Jones case, and I saw a few of your mentions. Not everyone loved the column, but I particularly did, being a media member, how you approached it with just a good rationale. But you mentioned you're very comfortable in covering legal settings. In your mind, because Jerry Jones gave us two different cases for why he dropped it. One, insufficient evidence, and two, I don't want to ruin these guys' life. Do you think there was an overriding one over the other, or what is your read on that?
Well, this is my problem with Jerry Jones on this, and so this is why the column might confuse some people, because it's just not, 1 + 1 = 2. The idea to me that there is insufficient evidence on the case, and I'm not going to prosecute it. If you are saying that, that's it. That should be rationale number one. Is there a case that you can win? And sometimes you can think a person is guilty, but you can't win the case. You don't take it to court. You have limited resources. That's the hardest decisions that district attorneys have to make and their staff. So to me, if they sat there and looked at it and go, I can't prove this. I can't prove whose gun was whose. I can't prove they knew it was stolen. I can't prove any of this stuff, so I don't have a case. If that's the facts, then I don't care who the people in the car are. So when he then says, but actually the number one reason I'm not doing it is because they're basically saying they're Alabama football players and they've worked hard and they have a clear path to good things, and I don't want to ruin it. So that's a total mixed message, right? Now, I don't actually mind if he says, I'm not going to prosecute this case because I don't think it's serious enough to ruin all of the good things this guy has going on, or these guys have going on. I actually would be fine with that. I appreciate his honesty, but I don't get why step number 2 is overriding step number 1. The first thing should be, is there a case? Did they do it, and can I prove it? Then it should be, should I prove it? But in this case, he just basically said, there isn't a case. I don't know they did it, but I'm also not even going to try to prove it. So it's a really weird rationale, and I think he did a disservice to himself and everybody else with it. But I do appreciate the honesty.
Talking here, wrapping up with Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports. If you don't listen to anything else I say all day, please go follow Dan on Twitter. It will be the best decision you make today. Dan, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for actually providing a good column that gave us a lot to think about.
Thanks for having me on anytime. Love coming on.